What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here with your PGA DFS first look for the U.S. Open. We have the third major of the year. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. So much to get to, so little time, my friends. I'm going to go a little bit long today. That's a foregone conclusion. This is going to be a special U.S. Open because it's taking place over in my neck of the woods, Los Angeles Country Club, the only golf course probably within a 40-mile area of Los Angeles that I have never played. Yeah, I've never played LA Country Club, either the North or the South course, and this is going to be taking place on the North, but a lot of features of it, and the golf course designer is somebody who's near and dear to my heart. I will talk about all of those great things and more, but first, DraftKings Rainmakers. They are our sponsor here of the PGA DFS First Look, and well, I love playing it over there. It was a really successful weekend for me over the UFC streets. That was a lot of fun, but we're talking PGA Tour here where you can trade in all of your PGA Tour cards and level up your collection now with the crafting set, which has been introduced. I cover all the ins and outs of that on my Rainmakers VOD. Yes, I do a PGA Tour Rainmakers VOD on this very same YouTube channel every single week for the PGA streets. So take a look at that here. But of course, the main thing, hop over to the lobby and go to that video description box below and get your starter pack. It is $0 to try out this product right from the get-go. And once you try out the product, I'm pretty sure you'll be like me, where you definitely want to be involved. Lots of edges that exist there that might not always exist in the PGA streets the way that it once did, but there's now bulk entry, and we're working on a lot of great tools and content over here to help you upload these lineups quickly. You don't always have to put them in by hand, but get your starter pack in that video description box below. This is the week to jump in. Probably the last week that I would really be looking at going completely bonkers and buying an entire set of cards. We'll be piecing together things as it goes along here. Players who might be playing themselves into form, players who come FedEx Cup playoff times, hi Rory McIlroy, who might be a little bit undervalued at their current prices. But I would definitely be jumping in this week because you have two majors left, lots of big prize pools still to come. Let's get going. It's good stuff over there in the PGA Tour Rainmaker streets, and they have a ton of great things going on. If you go to DraftKings Nation, DK Nation, you can see this link up there, just dknation.com. DraftKings Rainmakers has a ton of promotions going on. Specifically, two of them I think could be very advantageous to you. If you spend $10 or more in the secondary market, you're going to get yourself Rainmakers booster pack. Yeah, a booster pack. You're going to get one of those when you buy a card of $10 or more. I think we got a couple of those to choose from for a major championship weekend. That's for sure. But also this, the tourney tee-off. Those who enter a rare contest in any way, shape, or form, could be the worst rare players in the field and put them all together, you're going to get $20 in DK cash just for entering. So going to be focused a little bit on some rare contests this weekend as well. I'll talk through all of the ins and outs of that on my DraftKings VOD, that's for sure. But thank you to DraftKings. Thank you to their Rainmakers PGA Tour product. It's really fun. You should be checking out. And hey, we have free projections on our site for you as well. We can get to the top of the board here. Shouldn't surprise anybody to see Scheffler and Rahm with top player probabilities around 20% combined. Fifth of the time they go out and win this tournament. I think that makes sense. It's just ridiculous the kind of form they're in. Lots of other top players that are sitting at the top, and we'll talk about Hatton. Going to be popular in the DFS circles, but I'm going to be all right with it. All right, my friends. Said it was going to be a little bit of a different program today. That's because we're going to LA Country Club North Course, and I'm not going to play the video. I'm not an idiot. I don't want to get in trouble with the copyrights, but there are. I have some friends over at the Fried Egg. Shout out my buddy Johnny. Play together over at Soul Park in Ojai, California. It's about an 80, 90-minute drive from where I live here in California in the Los Angeles area, and it is an unbelievable public golf course. Soul Park is, it's therapeutic to me. And well, wouldn't you know it, the same guy who revamped Soul Park revamped Los Angeles Country Club North and South course. More notably for the North course, because that's what we're going to be talking about here. But I would go check out this Fried Egg preview of the golf course as Gil Hans, that's his name. Gil Hans, sorry, my friend. Hanse. He's fantastic stuff. You can take a look at the golf course here and see all of the ins and outs of each hole specifically. Again, it's not going to tell you a whole lot because it's going to be set up for a U.S. Open. And we know what that means, long rough. In this case, long Bermuda grass that exists here. A little bit different than the Kikuya that exists over at Riviera. But A lot of resonating features here. Easy par five to get you going there on number one. Really difficult number two. That's something that exists at LA Country Club. It's something that exists at Riviera. And another course that's near and dear to me, one I've played a bunch, Bel Air Country Club, all in a very tight proximity out there, Pacific Palisades down into Century City, which is where Los Angeles Country Club resides. Again, helps to be here. Lived out here for 12 years. Beautiful stuff. So check out this video for sure. I can't recommend it enough. But there's also the USGA, which are the ones that put this golf tournament on. I've played in 3 USGA events in my life. I've qualified for 4, but the 4 ball got canceled during COVID when we qualified at Philadelphia Cricket Club, my partner and I. So that would have been a lot of fun. My 4 ball partner to go out and play in that one. Another just historical golf course here in America out on the East Coast, Philadelphia Cricket Club. Would have been a lot of fun, but such is life. Things happen. And hey, we're still talking about the USGA events. Very excited to break this one down because I do think they do an unbelievable job of putting these events on, even if people think it's set up very diabolical. If you go to USGA.com and go to the US Open section, they can break it down by tee times, players, and then the course. I will also watch this preview just to get a better idea of maybe the way it looks from another perspective, where it's not trying to just beautify the golf course and the Barranca and the restoration that went into it, which is incredible, by the way, that happened in the mid 2000s. And then later on with the South course in 2016. But really love this track. It's the only golf course I've never played. The 2 golf courses I haven't played in this greater area, these 36 holes. But I like the breakdown from both of them. This is just simply fly over, see exactly bare bones what you're going to get. And one of my favorite things that I do, and I'm just always worried about doing it on this program, is going into Google Earth and walking the golf course. Just doing a walkabout, a little spirit walk there to see what players might be facing and see if there's a prevailing shot shape that might make sense to me based on what I'm seeing, or some things of that nature that might be harder to really encapsulate when we're talking about the top golfers tool, which is how I always break things down here. But let's go over to the scorecard here at LA Country Club. Again, Bermuda grass. Big differentiating feature from this golf course and a lot of other golf courses that surround our area. We're talking primarily Kikuya a lot of the time when you're talking the public tracks, and then when you're talking Riviera, which does an unbelievable job of maintaining their rough. But you can't really grow that out as much because it will legitimately be impossible at 3.5 to 4 inches, which is where they're going to be playing this. And it is still thick. And everybody, you see the videos on Instagram. This is always the time of year where if you played the drinking game every time you saw one of those where somebody lost a ball in the rough, you'd be dead after 5 minutes of US Open week. So don't do that. But LA Country Club North, we have a pretty interesting setup here. And it comes down to the par 3s, I think, for sure. Number 9 par 3, kind of always like when you see either a number 10 par 3 or number 9 par 3, kind of gets away from the mold of lots of par 4s and 5s at most golf courses that you play in your lifetime, I would suppose. But par 70, 74, 23, and these par 3s just look diabolical. I guess they're playing downhill, so that's cool. But if you go and look at number 7, you're playing it onto a left bank, basically, and you still have to fly it there to get there. So murder 3 iron, hit 5 woods, 3 woods even. It's gonna be tough there. Depending, they're gonna move the tee boxes around. I doubt it plays 284 and then 290 for 11, which is more downhill. I will say 11. I don't think will play as long as what 7 will, based on just the flyover views and everything that we're looking at there. 11 should play a little bit shorter just from an elevation standpoint, but playing up the golf course through the front 9, down the golf course through the back 9, it's really, really fun stuff. So check this out on USGA.com. They are who put on the US Open every single year, as well as great amateur events that love to participate, playing qualifiers for. And when you're lucky enough, when you qualify, play a little good golf, you get to go have some unbelievable experiences. Gotten to go to Saucon Valley. Just wanted to give them a special shout out at the beginning of this because, again, I'm a golfer. This is what I love to do. It's how I identified myself for however many years. And nice to see the US Open come around this time of year with a new golf course with new flavor, not just going to Torrey Pines, Pebble Beach, these unbelievable golf courses, no doubt about it. But we've seen them. They're in the PGA Tour rotation. I like when we get these outlier golf courses and you have to really strategize how you want to attack them. Now, that being said, we're going to jump over to the Top Golfers tool. And there's a couple of spots that I think are definitely going to be changing between now and tomorrow. It's just something that is going to exist. And I'm just refreshing it here one more time because we have optimal percentages that are going to be changing here a little bit. But some of the positive leverage does remain the same here. But we're going to start with negative leverage because this is not correct. We're not going to be getting Justin Rose 48.7% of the time. This is simply the 7K range. I think the name of the game is it's going to get peppered. You just saw Tommy Fleetwood compete at the Canadian Open. You know, all the people in the land. Oh, hey, up there in Canada, having a nice time. Oh, you want a nice beer and snowshoes so we can go to church in the winter? I don't know. Montreal churches, they're pretty and stuff. I don't know what Canada people do. But either way, I'm from South Dakota. It's not that far away. Looking at the 7K range, it's going to be very, very popular. But as always, I'm going to go to the Top Golfers tool, and I'm going to start with Scotty Scheffler, who does have some popularity. But, I mean, it's kind of wild to see 20% as the number when he's been north of that at pretty much every major for the last 4 majors, it would seem. I think this just speaks to DK finally getting some aggressive pricing here. They've been aggressively pricing just about every sport in a pretty fantastic way. Look at the UFC card for this weekend. Way to go. 9,800 for a minus 1,000, minus 1,100 favorite that we're looking at in that Circarian Failure. But going to be very fun to playing UFC with a great price or with a great price structure there. Similar thing exists here for the DraftKings DFS slate. Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Brooks Koepka. Nice to see him up to 10-8. Thank God I won't have to click him as much, even though now he's going to win because he always does this crap to me. Can't get him right ever. Play him, he shoots 80. Don't play him, back-to-back majors, and just torches you. Takes your soul from your body. But Scotty Scheffler, he's the most informed player this entire season. Jon Rahm not far behind it. I will take the ownership discount on Jon Rahm here at 8%. Scotty Scheffler, it's well noted, the putting has been broken. The ball striking is not broken. The ball striking is outrageous. And at a U.S. Open, it really does differentiate the men from the boys, figuring out who is striping it because, well, U.S. Opens a lot of the time come down to just bogey avoidance and hitting the damn fairway. And a lot of bogey avoidance is just hitting the damn fairway, getting up and down from some ridiculous spots, not making doubles and triples, being able to minimize that and making bogeys at times. It is trying to par is your friend. This is probably the one golf tournament every single year that you can pinpoint, highlight, circle. Par is your friend far more than it is at any other tournament. I still think it finishes under par for this. Let's not kid ourselves. These are the best players in the world. And in this day and age, with equipment, with everything else, somebody's going to find their way to 8, 10 under. It's just what's going to be what happens. So take it for what it will. I actually didn't even look at the line of what it is at the given moment for winning score. I probably should do stuff like that because, again, I'm trying to be prepared for you, but I prepared for you by showing you a lot of places to look at this golf course, mainly because we never see it. And this is where I also have, oh yeah, we got Fantasy Cruncher. This is generally an add-on, and I haven't been doing as much with it of late, mainly because I do want to go over a lot of the PGA DFS lineup generator stuff with you all, my fine friends. But driving accuracy and combining it with driving distance, oh my God, Sergio Garcia, 7K. I'm nervous. Ben Raza told me he was on him today. I might be getting to a little bit of Sergio. Sam Bennett, who we saw play phenomenal golf at the Masters earlier this season, faded away a little bit, 16th. But then RBC put it up again. The Texas A&M dude. I mean, I'm going to be cheering for him. He's got one of the most amazing stories in golf. I don't know if I'm going to play him. 0.1% own though. U.S. Open. Difficult major. I'm just saying he's pretty good. I don't know. I haven't talked myself into him. I have 0 at the moment and would play 0 at the moment. I guess I haven't even really crunched lineups outside of what I did in preparation of this video. But similar to over there, again, Justin Rose, this is a little bit more in line with what I think we're going to run into for his ownership, 38.3%. If he ended up the most popular golfer, I don't think it would surprise me entirely, but I think there's a lot of other players that get played before him. Let's finish out the 10K range, though, shall we? Viktor Hovland on the heels of a second and then a win at Memorial, all in recent history here. Yeah, T2 at the PGA Championship. I can do the box score watching thing for you, can't I? I should do that. Viktor Hovland, my friends. Look at him, know him, love him, ball striking extraordinaire. I think he actually pairs pretty nicely with like a Scotty Scheffler if you can make two 10K players work. It is tough sledding, that's for sure, when you go Scheffler, Hovland. Because now you're sitting 7150, but that's why you're going to see guys like Sergio, I think, start to gain some steam as we get into tomorrow. Eric Cole's going to be a huge part of my portfolio, as is Sepp Straka. Just wait. Just wait. I'm very nervous. Austin Eckroat. I can definitely see myself rounding out some lineups with this combination, but they better finish 1-3, 1-5. There's not a whole lot of room there at the top because you're saving a lot of money getting down to this 9K range, which is where I think you're going to see some major ownership on guys like McIlroy, Schauffele for sure. But Victor Hovland, he is straight up, because he's 10K flat, my favorite guy to maybe look at a single entry build and start with. John Rahm, probably a close second, but I'm going to have more Rahm than Scheffler. And then out of this trio, I'm just going to get to more Patrick Cantlay if people aren't going to play Patrick Cantlay at 10-3 in large field stuff. So Victor Hovland still for single entry makes sense, but Patrick Cantlay, I'm not sure what to entirely make of him. He does have some familiarity with the golf course. Now, he wasn't on the Walker Cup team that was out here. He's no Stuart Hagestad. Sorry, that wasn't meant to be a dig. He's so damn good at golf. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. Mid-Am extraordinaire out here in Southern California. Beat the shit out of me one time. But either way, looking at Patrick Cantlay, UCLA dude, they have LA Country Club as one of the clubs that they can get access to. They've played there. Bel Air is generally where they go out and play a bunch. And then, Riviera, not too shabby to be down the street as well. I think 8.6% for him. I'm interested. Are you interested? Because I am too. But this is where we start to see the ownership flood in. Rory McIlroy, 23.3%. And this Xander number, this has to come up, right? 14.3%. I'm feeling it coming up here at the moment. There is positive leverage to him. And then Max Homa. Yeah, Max Homa. Another dude with familiarity here at the Pac-12 championships down here. He is an LA native. He's stoked for this golf course. And he shot 62, I believe it was, at the Pac-12 championships. What a great venue for that one down here at LA Country Club North. And he is, well, the form hasn't been there, but whenever he's stepped foot in Southern California, he has found ways to play some exceptional golf. Look at the beginning of his season, friends. I mean, he's starting to show some finishes here, T8, T9. But we go back here to the Genesis and the Farmers Insurance. 1 and 2 seems pretty good. Putting extraordinaire out at Riv. Again, Kikuya, a little bit different. Farmers Insurance, Kikuya, a little bit different. But feeling pretty good about Mr. Max Homa here as somebody to be invested in at this kind of ownership. 8.9%, really just a leverage thing. Another California kid, La Canyada, but he has just been struggling with certain parts of his golf game at times. And I'm not sure entirely what to make of some of the numbers. Let me pull them up here one more time. But when grouping it just by flat out opportunity cost here, I think getting to some of these other players in the range makes more sense. I think it would just be a pure leverage thing because Morikawa, while he did play better and has played better with this claw that he has gone back to, and hell, you just saw a playoff with two guys utilizing the claw there at the Canadian Open. Makes me feel good. That's how I putt. But Charles Schwab, 4.5 strokes gained with the approach, as you would always expect with Colin Morikawa, lost 2.3 with the putter. PGA Championship, 3.2 with the approach, like you expect. He's an iron striker. Gained 0.5, 26th. It's a lot of money to be spending for Colin Morikawa. We've seen this episode before, though. You get out there to the Open Championship in 2021, ends up being nicer conditions than expected. And I think it really depends on what you think this winning score is going to end up being for this U.S. Open. I think that's probably the other thing to really be focused on is historical history with the U.S. Open and who plays tougher conditions well, who plays some of the easier conditions well. Colin Morikawa, I think I would want to pair him with some players that I find to be the opposite of Shane Lowry, if you will, where I would want it to be more difficult for guys of that nature, guys who have great short games and can play well in difficult conditions. But 9,300, maybe some of that risk is mitigated there. But I'm definitely not going to be at Jordan Spieth at 9,200. The wrist injury doesn't seem like it's an issue, but negative leverage on Jordan Spieth is never something that I'm going to end up clicking on. Would be much happier going below it to either Matt Fitzpatrick or Cameron Smith. Yes, Cameron Smith, we're talking live, baby. We haven't seen a whole lot of these guys for sure. But anytime that we have Cam Smith at the Masters, that's like a foregone conclusion, right? At this point in time, goes out, wins the Open Championship last season, but that was much easier golf course setup as well. I think maybe him and Morikawa might make a decent enough pairing too when you look at some of the correlating factors between more difficult major championships and then the easier ones. I think they skew a little bit more towards easy golf than anything. I want conditions to be perfect, even though Australian, wouldn't you think he's played in some wind before? He's definitely played in some wind before. It is what it is. But my friends, we continue on our merry way as you hit the like button here. Let's kind of skip this 8K range for the most part. Nobody's pulling any prominent ownership outside of Tyrrell Hatton, who I'm obsessed with. I don't give a shit that this is negative leverage here at the moment. This would say 26% if it was uploading correctly here, but we're doing some data stuff to make sure it is perfect for you building your lineups on Wednesday. Make sure that we get this ownership figured out for Justin Rose and Ricky Fowler and Bryson DeChambeau, because this isn't correct unless you're playing. I mean, this could definitely be something that happens in like the 3K in the, $200 single entry. I could see these kind of numbers being a little bit possible. Fleetwood, especially 7,900 coming off of his performances, and seems like an easy click on a ball striking golf course. And US Opens, he's had some really good, he's had the ability to go low on difficult golf courses, like we saw in New York that one time. But either way, 8K range, Tyrrell Hatton, and then Dustin Johnson, 8,300. I think both of them are fine. You should be able to have some popular golfers in your lineups. You don't need to be ostracizing them purely from an ownership perspective. You just have to find players within the builds that are lower owned. You have to find some guys that aren't going to just have you in lockstep with 4 golfers identical across everybody's lineups. Like, you just don't want to be getting to Hatton plus Johnson plus Rose plus Ricky Fowler. There are too many entries when we're talking about some of these big GPPs over at DraftKings. You're just holding hands with the field so much of the time. And yeah, Sam Burns, 2.2%, the lowest owned player, 8K and above. I don't know what to say. I have a problem. I have a serious problem. It's an addiction, really. But let's go to the negative leverage, because this is the name of the game this week at the US Open. Who profiles well for this US Open? Well, Justin Rose, former winner of this championship, and is very much in form coming off of, let's pull it up here from last week. Rosie, let's just kind of like go through the box score of some of these gentlemen, because, that's just what happens. We just play everybody who played well last week, right? Stupid way to just, otherwise everybody's going to play the same guys every time. But either way, T9 at the PGA, 8th at the Canadian, T12 over at Colonial at the Charles Schwab. I mean, this is just solid. Coming off of cut, he has really regained form, and the variance on a golf course like this is definitely through the roof. Variance at a US Open in general, you're going to see guys who are just hitting fairways, find ways to shoot even, and, that are making a bunch of putts, guys who gain a bunch of strokes, in the first 2 rounds. You're going to see an amateur or two get through. You're going to see, Sam Bennett play well. I'm sure now that I've brought him up on this program, he's surely going to torch us all. But I think there's just so many other players to get to in this kind of a range than Fleetwood, who's also just playing exceptional golf. T18, T5, yes, has the cut in the middle of it, but like 70, 72 at Colonial, who cares? It's not like that's apocalyptic. It's one of the things that kind of gets over-exaggerated with these cuts, but the ownership is just through the roof on these dudes. I mean, we're talking 48.7, 36.2 on Bryson, who I loved him at the PGA, talked about it. Said I wanted to play a ton of him at the PGA, but he was so under-owned. He was like 5% across the board and everything. I don't know what to make of live events. I'm so sorry. I don't know what a T9 at the Live Golf Invitational Washington, who gives an F, DC event thing, place, tournament they played. I don't know. I guess they're part of the PGA Tour now. So yay. Live Golf. Let's go. PGA Championship, though. That was a great result. Can't ask for anything more. Played him in single entry, but will not be playing him at this kind of ownership if it's going to be there. I think this is not the best type of a setup for him. When you're talking about guys, some of these greens are just going to be difficult. And he's a better putter than people give him credit for, but this is going to be a huge approach game. In addition to strokes gained just off the tee, and just the combination of fairway accuracy and driving distance. You don't need to be a bomber, I don't think, here at LA Country Club. Even though 7,400 might lean you in that direction at par 70, should be running out in some spots. There are some forced carry holes. There are some things that just are going to be, I think, bringing everybody into play more than some other US Opens where if it's 7,700, 7,800, you best be busting the golf ball off the tee. But I'm looking at the 7K range, and this is where we're going to get freaky naughty. These guys are all the popular ones. Cool. Let's go to the positive leverage, because this is where I think Tom Kim, no, thank you. I'm out on Tom Kim. I have been all year long. But Joaquin Niemann, star, highlight, don't know what to make of it. All I know is that when he was on the PGA Tour, he was one of the best young players, one of my favorite young players to watch. It's a boom bust golf type with him. You're going to get some really solid finishes. T16 at the Masters, it's fine. Smaller field there than any of the other major championships, that's for sure. But Joaquin Niemann, we saw him cut at the PGA. Obviously, the golf game isn't in form. Otherwise, you would see the ownership there. But why wouldn't you on a golf course where obviously it's so funny also seeing 9 out of 10 cuts made. There's no cuts on LIV. What are we doing here? Didn't think about that till just now. But either way, I don't play LIV events. Joaquin Niemann, 7,700. Feel pretty positive that he's going to be a large piece at this kind of ownership of my GPP portfolio. 3.9% ownership. I think that's going to be a Ben Raza special as well. Sam Burns standing there making me feel really uncomfortable. But this is the quintuple, I will say. Right here. This whole little section. Sepp Straka playing so good. And nobody wants to play him. 0.5% ownership. 0.5% ownership. I'm really nervous how much Sepp Straka I'm going to get if that ends up being the actual case here. Like, this is almost like WTF kind of ownership, because I don't understand how somebody looks at Sepp Straka and goes to the box score and doesn't recognize that that should be higher owned than 0.5%. Like, I'm not a box score guy. I'm simply doing this to show you, like, hey, they're the recent results. We can kind of look at short-term form and, kind of encapsulate it. But overall, as you go to his strokes gained data, 11th strokes gained approach, we were very heavy on him at the PGA. How did I not? Oh, yeah. Is freaking Brooks Koepka and Scotty Scheffler exist. I had Bryson and Sepp Straka in single entry and lost money. Didn't cash. Golf is fun. It's a great sport. But Sepp Straka definitely going to be having a ton of him at his current ownership if this ends up holding true. Keith Mitchell, 0.1%. Definitely going to blindly fire up a little bit of that. Shane Lowry, give me all of that you got in a bag of potato chips. Going to be somebody that I have a lot of. Sergio Garcia, again, Ben Raza special. Just quoting him there. But there's also my dude, KH Lee, who I've brought up a million times on this program, 0.5% ownership. I'm going to be mixing and matching a lot of these guys. And maybe it's not so insane to think that you can go over here as your hand building out lineups, if that is your thing, and getting to, 6,500. This starts to get ugly, but Moronk will be somebody that I have in the portfolio at least. This makes it doable, I think, getting to 6,900 per. Having a Scheffler Rahm type build. Isn't that fun? That kind of looks fun, doesn't it? I don't know. Seems like a Bikram yoga stretch, if you ask me. But Victor Perez, 7,300 also. There's just some guys down here pulling no ownership, and there's a lot of talent. Nick Taylor, 7,300. No question he's playing well. There are so many pieces that I would rather get to. And this is where I think we could see a lot of that ownership tomorrow flood away from those super popular pieces. And it just trickles and matriculates down to Nick Taylor. I have no idea. I did see a lot of tickets on Nick Taylor. That is so wild to me. Shout out those people. 75-1. Way to go. I was not one of them. But there's just at least talent that exists in the 7K range. And so when you're looking at your lineups, you don't need to completely X out. You probably shouldn't X out all of these popular 7K guys. But no, you have pivots before you. Tons and tons of pivots. Tyrrell Hatton, there's no pivot at 8,900 that I like more than that. That's just going to be a huge part of my portfolio. Happy to be accepting it. My friends, my God, we are at the 29 and change mark. We got to hurry ourselves on up. do group a couple of tee time stacks just blindly at major championships, especially because we do have so many studs that are in the same groups. Like we've got, Justin Rose playing alongside Fowler, Scott. We have, Sepp Straka with my dude KH Lee and Sergio Garcia sitting there in that same time window. Like there are a lot of these type of tee time stacks that could pan out. Now, looked at the weather. It's Tuesday. I'm out here. I'm going to be paying attention to it very much so. But we've had a lot of weird weather days out here. It's just been gloomy nonstop. No sunlight. Living in a cave out here. But over in Fantasy Cruncher, easiest way to do that, going to groups, create new group. Pretty easy to group it by tee time stack. Add a bunch of them that you find to be appealing. Afternoon, AM, PM wave. You could get some baked out greens or pin positions that are playing more difficult one side of it. And, I'd be out. If I'm sitting at home watching, I'm going to Gordon Sargent 6,100, son of a biscuit. Might have to click on that name too blindly and just hold my nose. But definitely going to be encapsulating a couple of those together. You can do that for whatever category you want. I've gone through it a number of times on this program. You could do it by driving distance. Poltergeist. No offense to his family here. Rory McIlroy, Bryson. If it ends up playing bomber heavy, I would be a little bit surprised. I will have some driving accuracy type builds where I get to Sebastian Munoz, who I don't even... What's he doing with his life? Is he playing golf? Oh, what a great box score to be looking at. Let's go over to the Live, where I'm sure he's made every cut. Siwoo Kim, Brooks Koepka. That shouldn't surprise anybody. Then a lot of these names, who's sitting at the top. Patrick Cantlay, another player that I think we should be identifying if we're going to see Xander and Rory pull as much ownership as they are. Lots of ways to put some groups together here. Iron play, looking at straight up greens and regulation. Again, this isn't the perfect science. I'm going to be using a lot of the strokes gain data that I use at other places, putting that together. I'm going to be uploading that at the upload data tab. You can add and remove columns very easily, including taking data directly from the top golfers tool, seeing who has the highest top 6 percentages, seeing positive leverage, taking them in a CSV form, adding them to the table, and you're going to be able to build some awesome lineups. So check that out. Fantasy Cruncher available with the premium Discord. But the lineup generator, for all of you who have watched all of this, maybe I should do this at the beginning of the show, just in case you're like, hey, you want to blindly make some lineups with the best tools in the entire industry? You do? Okay, sounds great. You can build up to 20 for your 20 max stuff. You can lock in a golfer if you would like. I'm going to be skipping that. I'm going to save 20 lineups here. Watch this. I'm going to build out my 20 using all of the great tools and content that we have here. And friends, if you like MLB Sims, just you wait. Just you wait. Going to be fun. But you can save those, export them directly to CSV like so. Awesome stuff. Jason Day popping. He's popping up top. Tyrrell Hatton, love seeing that. Cam Young. We going to figure the putter out one day, young man? And now the irons are kind of a problem. If Cameron Young burns me this week, I'm never going to forgive myself. Mito Pereira, that's terrifying. Hi, Jesse. How are you this fine day? But either way, we always round out this show per usual, building my single entry lineup, what I have in mind. And it's going to be a little bit different from the DraftKings Rainmakers street. Let me jump into those here for you. Rainmakers. There's no salary cap constraints here, and that's really, really fun. Only 5 golfers that you're putting there together. I built this on the PGA DraftKings Rainmakers live show. Bought a couple cards, threw them together there with my friend, Ben Raza. So you guys want to just dupe it? Put it in the core. Leave me alone. But great contest. Don't forget to check that out over in the lobby. And don't forget to get those free cards, your free starter pack. And I would start with Scotty Scheffler or John Rahm. I would just do that because they're expensive. So many great contests at every single tier. So little time for you, my friends. All right. To the single entry lineup section. Talked about it before. Have a lot of interest. You should have a lot of interest in these 10K, 9K players. If I'm starting out a lineup, though, I'm going to be starting with Victor Hovland. As it stands right now, I might split up because I'm a coward. I might split up my single entry allocation this week. Might do some different things in cash. Yeah, I'm playing cash this week. I'm absolutely getting some of that 7K chalk exposure. That's for sure. Because I don't want to get completely flat ironed by the likes of a Tommy Fleetwood or a Justin Rose. Haven't even decided who those exact 7K players will be. I could just guarantee I'm going to pepper the range in cash. But Victor Hovland, 10K, who's got better last 3 tournaments than him? Nobody is probably the answer. Probably Scotty Scheffler. That's so dumb. He's so dumb. He's so good. It's just ridiculous. But either way, Victor Hovland, I'm going to be starting off with him. Now, there are a lot of options on second in, and this comes down to, once again, going to Stochastic, heading over to the PGA tab, finding yourself the Top Golfers tool, and seeing, Eric, who is positive leveraged here? Who should I be looking at? Who has a profile on a U.S. Open type venue where hitting the fairways, having some run out makes a lot of sense. Having some great iron play, avoiding bogey avoidance, some terrifying stuff there. Grouping by salary or leverage or whatever else matters to you. Max Homa, friends. It's Max Homa season. We're going to be clicking on Max Homa at 9,400. Welcome back to Southern California, hometown boy. Going to go crazy. Going to be a lot of fun. I will not click on Sam Burns because I'm not a sick person, but Tyrrell Hatton, I am absolutely clicking on in single entry. He was the first guy that I just said I cannot live without. Awesome Sunday. 264s and 272s up in Canada. Oh, hey, good playing. Good playing, pal. His iron game has just been phenomenal. I think the U.S. Open should be, if he doesn't snap every club in his bag because of one bad shot, should be a venue that he absolutely dominates in the next couple of years, or not dominates, but like should be successful at, because it's everything that he's good at. Being accurate, finding ways to just get the ball in the hole from time to time, can be an exceptional putter and just spike in that regard from time to time. And the irons consistently fabulous. So there's that. Now the 7K range. I already made that case of everybody there. Thagala, I do expect him to start pulling some ownership here very shortly. Look at this. 4.1% for the Southern Cal kid. Okay, guess we got to look at that. But this is the guy that I just talk about, I think, every single week. And Keegan Bradley sets up really nicely, I think, for U.S. Opens as well. Last season, I mean, if we just go box score watching there, ended up in contention, was in that final pairing, I believe, with Matthew Fitzpatrick coming down to the wire. It was good stuff. So Keegan Bradley, 7,600. I think him or Thigala, they both make interesting clips. Son of a biscuit. 6,500, really? I can't do it. Can't do it. We're going to stick with Keegan. And then this 7K range, friends. Sepp Straka, Eric Cole. Click. Oh, yeah, the best tournament on DK. Got to get some tournaments here. I got to decide what exactly I'm going to be playing. That's for sure. But that is what I've built out for single entry as it stands for right now. Friends, that does it for the PGA DFS first look. As always, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this golf tournament coming up. Give me your favorite plays on the board for DraftKings. Check out the Rainmakers product, of course, because it's fabulous and it's really fun. They have the craft and burn going. And hey, if you're going to jump in, my cards, you go over here to, where you go, to the craft and burn section. They have some golfers, whether it's Gary Woodland. Ooh, I'm going to do that right now, right in front of you here. I'm going to trade somebody in, whether it's Garrick Hago, Ben Taylor. Yeah. Who sucks? Nick Hardy doesn't suck, but like none of these guys actually suck. I just can't quit you, Garrick Hago. See, look at this. Now I have Gary Woodland. Craft more. Okay, sounds good. You can do that for every golfer down the line. Do I want Patrick Rogers? I'm not sure, but there was Tommy Fleetwood. There was Shane Lowry. There was Jason Day. Hopefully you guys got in on a couple of those. That would be awesome. But check out their product. So many great things in the craft and burn section to round it out. I knew we were going to go long today. That does it for your U.S. Open massive preview here at Stochastic for the DFS streets, for the Rainmaker streets. I will be back with the Rainmakers VOD tomorrow. I will be doing Lindy's, best 9 bets, all the great things here per usual. Until next time, my friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the U.S. Open streets this weekend. See you back here, same time, same place for PGA Tour next week.